Hello, good afternoon, good afternoon, good evening. How are you? How you feeling? Let's get right into it. We have couple news to share, okay? Very important news to share with you. Yes, I'm just waiting for you to get in the system. Meanwhile, I'm posting my live session on IG. Okay, and sharing on that's what you should do. You should be sharing on IG and WhatsApp and all those platforms. Yeah, latest immigration news. Let's get right into it. How are you? Hello, how are you? Thank you for coming. We have important news to talk about. We want to talk about ICE rate, okay? We have a breaking news from the United States Supreme Court. This is the news we want to discuss. Then we'll move on to other news, probably similar. Then we talk about what can you do if you are in removal proceedings in terms of your defense strategy. You can't just go in removal proceedings without any type of defense, um, and not to mention appeals. You have to really preserve any type of issues that might come up when you're trying to file a motion. Say you file a motion get denied, you have to appeal it because you really want to make sure that you preserve some type of issues, right? Um, so I always tell people if you don't agree with the decision, you file um, for appeal. First of all, you file for appeal because you have the right to do so. Second of all, you file for appeal because you want to preserve any type of issue that might come up at the end of the trial. And third of all, you file for appeal because you want to buy some time to figure out your other strategy. It's not just for you're not just filing frivolous claim. You're filing because you have the right to do so. Okay, it's different from a person who's filing frivolous claims. Okay, so um, yeah, I want to talk about the decision from the Supreme Court. So basically, what's going on? What's going on is that the Supreme Court ruled that ICE can continue to make stops in order to basically inquire on immigration status, therefore deport or detain an individual who needs to be detained, and therefore deport. So that's not good because now it's going to lead to profiling and all that. So I want to share a couple of screenshots here or a couple of news outlets that talk about the same issue. But meanwhile, if you have any type of question, immigration related, please just put it in the comment section. As we're moving along with news, I might be able to answer some of those questions. Okay, and please share and like. I forgot to share mine. Hold on, let me share mine right away so that people can join the live session. Um, yeah, let me share mine right away. Um, so that people can please share, please like, please share. Let me share mine so people can join the live session right away. Okay. Yeah, just give me one moment. Okay. Yeah, we have questions. I'm gonna go over questions, then go back to the news because this news is very important. A friend apply on vow apply for renewal on September 8th, which expire on April 2025, using 6 months attention. Till now, they have not answered. They don't pick up the phone call. You need to write a letter because VAWA usually they don't pick up phone calls because it's VAWA. They don't answer the questions over the phone. Yeah, you need to send, especially if it's not the lawyer calling, if it's the applicant, the self petitioner herself or himself, they're not going to answer you over the phone. You just have to basically write to them or get the congressman involved as well. That's one of the solutions. Okay. Good afternoon from Texas. How can we avoid ICE during this period, especially undocumented? Driving. If you have somebody who can drive, it's better to take a ride. But if you have valid driver license, that's no problem because they're doing those stops randomly. Usually, there's no way to tell when they're gonna stop a person, but the best way to avoid ICE is to not commit a crime because if the person gets arrested, the arrest is incident to either the traffic violation or some type of crime, especially theft related crime. Automatically this is mandatory detention. So you just want to avoid committing a crime. That's the best way. Okay. Another way is to basically not be at the wrong time at the wrong place, like going to parties, because when a person goes to those parties, like somebody's organizing a party, alcohol is involved, and people when they drink, they get drunk, they pretty much are like acting stupid, and fight and the police is going to be called at that place. And if a person does not have document, the police start checking documentation. That's what happens. Even if when a person has document, when you go to a party and the fight broke, the police get there, they check everybody why they're there. And now they'll check status. So those type of things just avoid. Um, yeah, this we already answered. By the way, let me go over the news and then come back to you again. Okay. Meanwhile, if you have a question, just please put it in the comment section. We got a lot of people in the live session. Just please share. I wanted to discuss this immigration news because I feel like it's really important. This one is really important. Okay. It's really important. Just give me one moment to find the news in question, the one I'm referring to. It's very important. Okay. Okay, we have this one first of all. Let me share my screen here. Let me share my screen. Hold on. Let's jump on. Anyway, let me share my screen here and see what we have to do. Okay. I want to share my screen and talk about this. DHS, this broke yesterday, okay? DHS launches immigration crackdowns in Chicago and Boston, okay? The Department of Homeland Security announced it's launching an immigration enforcement operation in Illinois in the latest escalation of federal action on U.S. cities and states led by Democrats. The agency said in a post on X that the U.S. Immigration Custom and Enforcement Operation is in honor of Katie Abraham, a 20 years old, it says, was killed in January in a drunk driving hit and run incident involving a man who was undocumented immigrant in Illinois. Okay, so in Illinois and Chicago, they want to do it because they want to honor this girl who was killed by a drunk driving hit and run. And the person happened to be undocumented. Okay. Um, so they just say ICE operation target criminal illegal alien who flocked to Chicago and Illinois because they knew Democratic Illinois governor sanctuary policy will protect them. So they want to target Chicago because they think that criminal who happened to be illegal flew or ran away to Chicago because of the sanctuary policy type of state, because Chicago is a sanctuary policy state. Simply means that Chicago will not collaborate with the local police enforcement in order to enforce federal laws. That's what they call by sanctuary states. So basically, the police in Chicago cannot make arrests because they're not going to help ICE to enforce immigration law. So that's why ICE has to be there themselves doing the operation. Okay. That's what they basically in Chicago. It's gonna go down as far as cracking down on immigration, and then we have that's number one. Number two, this one too is this is the breaking news. Okay, the Supreme Court. They want me to pay, but I know the news. Let me just read it. Okay, the Supreme Court lift limits on immigration raid in Los Angeles area. So the Supreme Court is allowing ICE to make stops in Los Angeles, basically to go and continue with the raids in Los Angeles. Because there was a debate whether they can do that or not. A lot of protests happened in Los Angeles, but now the Supreme Court says that they can do that. They have the authority to do that, to make stops and do the raid, basically check on people's status. So now people are saying that this is going to lead in racial profiling. So basically they can stop anybody just because they don't want the person. But the Supreme Court has allowed that to happen in terms of ICE can stop a person during traffic stop or, you know, randomly just to check on their status. That's the breaking news we're talking about here. Let me go back. Let me stop sharing and go back and see. Okay. Anybody else? Do you have a question? If you have a question, please put it in the comment section. Okay. Hello, unlimited service in one. Hello, Bijoux. How are you? How are you feeling this lovely afternoon, evening? It's already 5:48 p.m. Eastern time. We're talking about this new Supreme Court decision allowing basically stops and raids in the Los Angeles area. Let me go back to something here. If you have a question, please put it. Okay, the Supreme Court lets Trump administration resume sweeping immigration stops in Los Angeles area. Okay, the Supreme Court on Monday, which was yesterday, cleared the way for the Trump administration to resume sweeping immigration enforcement stops in Los Angeles area for now as part of the president's campaign to carry out mass deportations of people in the U.S. unlawfully. The Supreme Court agreed to freeze a district court temporary restraining order that prevented federal immigration authority from stopping people. So basically, now they can actually stop people and they can continue with the raids, okay? Because the Supreme Court has lifted that restriction, okay? U.S. Supreme Court basically made a decision yesterday, okay? Says, and then in response to the Supreme Court order, the White House spokeswoman Abigail Jackson said, "We look forward to full vindication on this front in short order, but in the meantime, the Trump administration will continue fulfilling its mandate to arrest and deport criminal illegal aliens." Okay. Yeah, the DHS law enforcement will not be slowed down and will continue to arrest and remove the murderers, rapists, gang members, and other criminal illegal aliens. So they're making arrests, stops, and all that in the it's back, like the raids are back and strong. In Chicago as well. Okay, ICE launched a new immigration enforcement. And not to mention that USCIS too, they've basically trained special agents who can make arrests, who can investigate, and basically arrest, investigate, and charge, and provide notice to appear for cases that they deem fraudulent. Okay, they have the authority to do so now. It has been delegated to them. Let's see USCIS website. Yeah, that's the major news, right? The raid, they're back in full motion. It never stopped, but it was slowed down because of those lawsuits. But now it's just like fully back. Okay, this is just something people should be aware of. Like if you remove proceedings or anywhere, you should be aware of. And then we have yeah, now that they're really investigating. If you look at the one, I'm trying to help myself case based on new country condition. Cameron, are you trying to file a motion to reopen based on new country condition? Have we done? Are you the one that we've done a consultation before? Limited service all in one. Are you the one that we done a consultation before and I asked you to basically find out whether or not the asylum was denied based on credibility issues? If it's about credibility, we have to find a way to establish to restore credibility. Yeah, so I thought, yeah, I remember you. I told you what to do. You never came back to me. I told you that we can do that, but if it's about credibility, we still have to reestablish credibility. If the first asylum was denied based on credibility, then we have to first of all find a way to establish credibility. Meanwhile, when we have the argument for credibility purposes, how we're going to reestablish it, then we file for motion to reopen based on new country conditions and stuff like that. But if we can't overcome that credibility issue, it's just like you're wasting your money, even trying to reopen the case. I mean, the motion is gonna be there pending, but the result of it, you know, it's just gonna be denied because of past credibility issues that hasn't been restored yet. So basically, in other words, the argument for credibility has to be there too. So if you feel ready, we can do it. That's what we do. But anyway, if you're ready, just shoot me an email, okay? So we can discuss when to meet and what exactly we can do. Then we can file a motion to reopen your case. Yeah, what else? Say, what about the other news about bonds? Oh, yeah. We're gonna talk about bonds, okay? What is going on with bond hearing? Arriving aliens are not eligible for bond. And with this new ruling, let me pull it up. Yeah, arriving aliens are not eligible for bond. Yeah, let me just pull it up and then talk a little bit about it. Thank God you mentioned it. I almost forgot about it. Yeah, but let me find it. Then but meanwhile, if anybody else has a question, just please put it in the comment section. I'm trying to find it so I can pull it and then talk about it. Okay, just try to get the summary of it so I can explain it easily. Um, Meanwhile, do you have a question? Please put it in the comment. Okay, when a person has been detained, right? If a person gets detained or arrested by ICE, ICE has to tell us under what authority they're arresting this person, right? So we have two provisions that they might arrest a person. Some people are arrested under 235, and some people are arrested under 236. If a person is arrested under 235, it simply means that the person entered the United States without inspection, okay? Without being admitted, without being inspected. And sometimes they're not admitted, they're not inspected, but they were parole. But what they're saying now is that anybody who is an arriving alien, so basically into without inspection or admission, the people who came to the border, they cannot have a right to bond, mandatory detention. But ICE has previously stated that even those type of people can be released under humanitarian reason, which is parole. That's why some people, even if they come to the border, they get released by through parole. Now they're saying that they don't even want to release them through parole. And they extending that even for people who have been here who arrived in the past. Remember, let's say a person um, arrived in the past and filed for um, some type of relief, and they got denied, and the person had been staying here for a while, and now for some reason they get arrested by ICE, and ICE is saying that if that person get arrested, even if it's the person who was parole because they were arriving alien in the past, now it's extending. They're not going to have the right to bond. So it's just like now it's too broad. You see, that's what's happening. In order to be eligible for bond, you must have been inspected or admitted. So that's the problem. And then the people who they are placing in expedited removal are not eligible for bond here either. So that even the person who were parole, in terms of, remember the parole, humanitarian parole that came under Biden, like the Cuba and all those people. And now I see saying even those people, because now they're placed in expedited removal, because even expedited removal has extended, including even after 2 years, right? And including people who were parole. I see saying even those people are not eligible for bond hearing if they get arrested or detained. So which is a fight people are arguing. I have a case that I have to do a bond hearing, but this is different because the person was inspected, came with a student visa. However, the person has a charge. Remember the theft crime charge. The charge is pending, but the person was charged in 2024 prior to the Laken-Riley Act. So we try to argue that this provision doesn't apply to that person because, the charge came before the Laken-Riley Act. And not to mention, the charge is still pending. We don't have a final adjudication of the case. We don't have the final, how do you say it? Sentencing, or so it doesn't really apply to that person. So that's what we are going to try to argue, but we haven't set the bond hearing yet because we're still looking for the sponsor to sponsor the person. So in other words, nowadays bond hearings are tough because of the extended version of the provision that we used to work under before. It has been extended. So yeah, it's getting too complicated. Yeah, that's what is going on. Okay. I heard you things. Okay. What if you have a valid visa and a pending I-485, would you be fine with the bond business? Bond, are we talking about bond in terms of the person has been detained and now they want to be released uh, on the bond, like provisionary, like temporary while the case is pending? If you're not detained, you you don't have to worry about those bonds because you're not detained. The bond thing concern the person who's detained. Um, yeah, if you're not detained, you shouldn't be worried about bond. Okay, that's what I'll see it. I'm not detained. The green card is pending. Why should I be arrested? The person get arrested accident to a crime or accident to a traffic violation, or just because they have really nothing, they're getting arrested. But you have a green card pending and the U visa already approved, you shouldn't be arrested unless you commit a crime. That's when the question of bond is going to come up, right? So, yeah, I wouldn't. What do you say? You say yes, but just based on past expedited removal. No, I don't think they will arrest you because you. If you get arrested, I don't think they'll detain you because you have a green card pending. To be honest, I don't think so. But if that happened, okay, if that happened, because it looks like you want that to happen. Jeez, I can't believe it. This girl Elena wants to be detained. Really? No. You have a pending valid green card case pending, and you have a U visa approved. You shouldn't be concerned because remember, in order for the U visa to be approved, they already waived the entry without inspection thing. That's why you got the U visa approved, because of that waiver. So now you're just waiting for the um uh, the um the green card to be adjudicated. I don't see how they're gonna detain you unless you commit a crime. Really? Yeah. So you shouldn't be worried about that. You shouldn't be worried about the bond new rules. It doesn't apply to you because you have approved visa, U visa. Okay. And not to mention U visa, it's type of a deferred action. U visa, it's a temporary protection from deportation. So I don't see how you're gonna be detained. Even if you get detained, they're gonna argue it's a mistake because U visa is a deferred action. You see, um, they don't even have to worry about the bond thing. They just have to say they arrested you in by mistake because U visa it's a deferred action. Unless you commit a crime, now we want to see why you committed a crime. If you're eligible for bond under those new regulation, you might not be, but the argument still compared to other people will be strong because the U visa has been approved and the green card is pending. There is a reason for you to be outside unless the crime in question renders you inadmissible. So you shouldn't be concerned about that, to be honest. Yeah, you shouldn't be paranoid. Yeah, you shouldn't. You should stop listening to the news because that thing doesn't apply to you. You have a defer action for you visa. Yeah. So don't be concerned about that's not your problem. That's other people's problem, but not yours. So you shouldn't be concerned about that, okay? You visa, it's a different, it's kind of like VAWA. When VAWA is approved, it's a deferred action, a protection against deportation. So, okay, let's see. Somebody has here. Arriving people who enter without inspection and were here for a long time could possibly get a bond hearing if detained, but now that is no more. Yes, it is no more. But remember that people who enter, there's a difference. Why there are some who enter without inspection, but are still considered arriving alien. Those did not have a right for bond hearing from the start. Okay, but the other category been here for a long time can get a bond hearing. Now it's no longer. First of all, the matter of QLE came out, say they cannot get a bond hearing, and now they expanded that to just say that they don't have a right to a bond hearing. And yeah, that's the bad news. That's the bad news when it comes to bond. Okay. So yeah, that's a bad news. Anybody else? Yeah, I kind of forgot about this bond thing either, because not to me. Oh Lord, it's going. Yeah, mandatory detention now. Okay, anybody else? Let's move on. Anybody else has a news to share or comment? Anybody else? Do we have more questions? We're trying to wrap up. Please like, please share as we're moving along with those breaking news. Please like, please share. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else has a question? I don't think we have additional question. We don't have additional question. We're gonna stop here. So two things to remember, okay? We're talking about the breaking news. We have a bad breaking news, okay? The Supreme Court just held that ICE can, in fact, stop people in certain area in Los Angeles in order to conduct raids, in order to inquire on immigration status. Remember, because of the lawsuit, they had to stop because a federal judge put a restraining order on it, like an injunction on it, but now the Supreme Court has lifted that restriction. So in other words, in Los Angeles, ICE raids is back fully, okay? They can stop people randomly, they can raid, they can conduct raids if they have reason to do so, but those stops, incidental traffic or stop for routine traffic or stop, they can do that, okay? So this is just something to be aware of if you around that area, just something to be aware of, okay? Number two, no more bond hearing for people who enter without inspection and placed in expedited removal proceedings. In other words, the bond is now it's not available to anybody anymore. Back in the days, if a person, although they enter without inspection, but because they've been here, living here for a very long time, they can benefit from a bond hearing if they get detained by ICE. But now they are not eligible for bond. Okay. And the arriving alien in general are just not eligible for bond. That's just a general rule. But what ICE has done recently with those policies and the case law that came out of the BIA, basically extending the pool of people who are no longer eligible for bond. So now bond hearings are really restricted to certain type of individual only. Other people, as a matter of law, they're just not eligible for bond. They can try to argue, but the law, it's really restricting them. So that's what's going on. Number three is that in Chicago, they are going to start again with raids. A lot of raids is going on in Chicago because according to this administration, Chicago is a sanctuary policy, and they feel like a lot of criminals run away from other states to go to Chicago because they are protected, because Chicago is a sanctuary city and has sanctuary type of policies. Simply means that in Chicago, the law enforcement cannot collaborate with federal agency or federal agents like ICE in order to make arrests and detain people in order to enforce immigration laws. So that's why they call Chicago sanctuary city, just like any other city that is called sanctuary city as well. So, but anyway, raids are back fully. It's never stopped, but now it's just like because of the Supreme Court ruling, it's pretty much like they have permission to do so. Yeah, just be aware. Even here in DC, the federal agents are everywhere, even the military, right? So it's just something to be aware of, and be if what are the advice if a person is in removal and they have a way to ask for instead of in-person hearing, they have a way to file for motion to have a WebEx hearing. They should do it. At least try. If that judge grants that motion, that would be great, so that you can avoid court settings, because that's where it's happening. A lot of things are happening there. That's one way. Another way is just to avoid crowded area. Um, Avoid driving if you don't have a license. Stuff like that. Some people will be driving under a license that has been suspended. That's bad. You'll be surprised people do it. You think they won't do it, but they'll do it and get arrested. And now have to find a way to get a bond hearing. So this is what's going on. And USCIS is making a lot of investigation. For example, international Pakistani conmen apprehended. That came on yesterday, September 8th. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services facilitated the arrest of Mohammed, a 52 years old Pakistani national criminal alien, was taken into custody after appearing for a scheduled USA appointment. he entered the United States on B2 but lied about his criminal history in Australia. So, in other words, if you don't disclose past criminal history, they're really investigating, okay? And that this guy got arrested at the interview, USCIS interview. Then we have 12 people charged in the whole of alien smuggling. Alien smuggling is basically getting people to come here illegally, advising them or actually helping them getting here illegally. And people who were in the role of asylum fraud, money laundering, conspiracy. 12 people being charged for those type of and their names are even here, right? Pretty and indictment charge. Their names are here on USCIS website. So in other words, USCIS is in fact investigating. If you want to file something, you really have to make sure that you're providing correct information, you're providing valid information, correct information, to the best of your ability. Disclosing, if you can't disclose anything, then just know that if they find out so yeah, if you don't disclose it, it's just know that if they investigate, they find it. Yeah, so then if they find out, then you get arrested. That's it. Get arrested and get charged, get arrested, and probably indicted too, because if they find out it's true, right? So those are the things that people have to be careful. Len saying like sounds like they don't have a right to a bond, but not necessarily that detention is mandatory. And maybe they got a bond hearing by default before, now they might or might not. Yeah, detention is mandatory in terms of if you get detained and you happen to have no right for bond, then you stay there, right? So it becomes mandatory, and detention is mandatory for theft crimes. If the person gets charged or accused of theft crime, there is a mandatory detention for that. If a person gets detained, now the question becomes, can I be released on bond? Then they're going to see if you're arriving alien into without inspection, you're no longer eligible for bond. That's it, right? I mean, there's a person who just argued today. They got a bond for a SIG, like a special juvenile immigrant, despite this new ruling. This lawyer was sharing with us the argument that they made, pretty strong. And DHS waived appeal, so the guy got bond, released on bond, despite entry without inspection. So the rule is a general rule, depending on the circumstances. Sometimes the argument might stand, sometimes it might not. So, but in general, as a general rule, arriving alien into without inspection, no longer eligible for bond when they get detained. That's it. Okay. This is it for today. Please like, please share. We are going to be continuing this conversation. Thanks for bringing the bond topic. I almost forgot about it when I was talking about those immigration news, but thanks for bringing it up. Thanks for showing up. Please like, please share. We're going to continue this conversation as we see things. If we have news, we're going to come. If we have something we want to share, discuss, we're going to come. If we have good news too, we come. But if you follow me on IG, you'll see that's where I'm posting my good news lately. I might resume posting on TikTok as well. But again, please share, please like. Thanks again for showing up. Thank you very much. Until next time, bye-bye.